Hey friends, you're about to see the first in a series of videos where I talk to friends who come to a country and don't speak the language, and those awkward moments trying to communicate. Hopefully this will be a form of encouragement to you. And if you have any tips on how to make this easier for others, whether it's learning the language or learning anything, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. So please sit back and enjoy, and I hope to hear from you soon. All right, so I'm sitting here with my friend Luxon. We're going to kind of talk about some of the things when you're learning a language, and we're specifically talking about English in this case, as you're learning English, about the awkward moments we have when we introduce ourselves or greeting someone, because it's pretty awkward when you're learning a language to try and figure some of that stuff out. Sometimes you may not be ready for the answers. So let's just jump in. Did you grow up speaking English?
No, I did not. In fact, I thought English was very difficult, and when I hear people speak English, I say, "Oh, you just hold your tongue and you speak it."
Wow. So actually, now I'm curious. Like, what do you think now that you speak English? Does it still seem difficult, or has it been more difficult than you thought?
Yes.
Okay.
It has been more difficult than I thought, and I still find it difficult. But I think having speaking French before helped a little bit.
So, if you didn't grow up speaking English, what did you speak growing up?
Yes, so my mother tongue, which I grew up speaking around the house, is Haitian Creole.
Okay, yeah.
But our whole education system is in French. So, and that's what the government buildings and all that, the banks. So you have to speak French to be able to go to those places and be educated. So I learned French in school.
Okay. So how did you start learning English?
Well, when I first come to the US, that's when I found out that I actually had to learn English. I think I had it in the back of my mind, because like, I'll use an interpreter, because that's what people do. If they go to Haiti, they have an interpreter strictly interpret for them. So I thought I should have one, until I realized I actually was living in the United States, so I actually couldn't just use an interpreter for everything. So I had to go to school to learn English.
And how old were you when you started learning English?
I was 17.
So as you were learning English, did you ever have any awkward, maybe even embarrassing moments as you were trying to learn to introduce yourself or greet people?
Well, embarrassment started from day one.
Okay.
My cousin took me to this school, and the school administrator was trying to gauge my English to know what level to send me, or I had to take a placement test. So she was trying to talk, and my cousin was trying to translate for me.
Wow.
And she goes, no, it's okay. So I'm trying to talk to him to understand how much he understands. So then she sent me to the testing place where I would take the test. I had to take a language and written test. And on both of them, she gave me a piece of paper with a big 0.
Wow.
So I had to start, and she said, you're going to start from level A. So
and that's the first.
That was the first beginner level. And because I could understand what is your name. But beyond that, everything was foreign.
Wow.
I couldn't understand anything.
At some point, though, you did learn to introduce yourself, of course. I mean, we're speaking great English right now. So, I mean, did you have any moments where, as you were doing that, though, maybe you weren't prepared for something somebody said next, or you just had an awkward moment as you were introducing yourself or saying hello?
Yes. So, every time I would introduce myself, so I would refer back to what I knew growing up. How are you doing? How's your family? So, and I found out it was very different here. So, once I started learning English, I needed a job. So my first job was at Disney World. And I still remember that first interview in person, where the hiring manager would ask questions. I would understand part of the questions, but I couldn't fully understand what they were saying. So my limited English kicked in, and I would say what I knew, how I knew it. It doesn't matter what the question was. Wow. So he would look confused and ask the same questions, and I would speak slower this time and say the same thing. And thankfully, he had to go, and I imagine he was busy, and he said, come to orientation. So I felt very undeserving, but glad. And I still remember when I got home, my cousin was asking, hey, how was the interview? I said, it went great. He asked questions, and I answered. But I forgot the questions he asked me. I don't remember what answer, but somehow I got the job.
Which is awesome.
It was good, but I imagine I did not be in such situation. I thought it was going to get higher.
No, he probably was pretty confused, it sounds like. So that's awesome.
And after that job also helped me, taught me a lot. So I started working. Actually, they thought I was very proficient in English. I don't know what their reasoning was. They put me as a cashier.
Wow.
In one of the busiest restaurants in the park. So I had to speak a lot. I still remember at times when customers would ask me, hey, do you have this, or such and such? I don't know the name. I'm still learning the name of everything we had, learning English and learning how to say we do or we don't and all that. So they would ask for something and I still don't know where it is or whether we have it. I would say, I don't think we have it. So, I still remember customers would point, I said, that one. So, I'm sorry, what did you say it was again? So I learned. So I actually.
That's genius.
so it's like, okay, that one. Yeah, absolutely, we have this. So in my mind, I was learning the name of what we sold, and I kept learning English.
Wow, that's a great way of doing it.
Absolutely.
You're letting them teach you.
Absolutely, because a lot of times I would read in the book or watch videos, but the real practice, the real learning is like in practicing, like from other people who speak their language in every situation. It gets awkward, but that's how you learn.
It's true. Okay, so after you learn to introduce yourself and you learn to respond to greetings, and you obviously learned a lot, selling different things, so you were learning vocabulary and all this.
Absolutely.
At that point, there were no more awkward moments, right?
Oh, there was. There was so many more. In fact, I still remember getting a little confused and, admittedly, sometimes a little upset with my friends, my coworkers, because I would come to work and I thought they were, okay, everybody is happy to see me and we would have time to mingle. When they asked, how are you doing? So obviously it was very early on. So everything someone says in English, I had to process that in my mind, in my brain, translate it.
Right.
And then it took me a little bit to translate what I'm going to say as a response to their question in my mind, and then say it. So they would ask, someone would ask, say, how you doing? And I was like, how you? So that's me. How am I doing? And then I'm translating the answer. And they are gone. And I started getting frustrated. It's like, well, you ask, and I'm trying to answer your question, and you leave. So I had to learn. It's a different culture. So I had to stop not taking. I have to learn how to not take it personal.
Oh yeah.
And that again, that was a cultural shock for me as I'm learning a language. And then stumble upon things like that, and it was very awkward at times. But I learned it's not nothing against me.
Sure,
it's
right.
Like somebody asks how you doing. It's a quick greeting.
How's Haitian culture different when you say how are you? What's?
Oh, so once we are talking, it's us. Nothing else matters. It's the people. So you could be late for your meeting. No, but we're talking.
Okay.
So how you doing? How is your family? How is mom? How is that?
Wow.
So I want to learn how, until you get to, the point, my sister is not doing too well. So what's wrong with your sister? Then I learned, okay. So I understand why, you may have been sad. So it's a full conversation. It's a very event and people oriented. So as long as you could have a meeting, for instance, at 2, and you meet me at 1:50. We have a full conversation. So, the meeting can wait. Now I'm talking.
Oh wow!
So as long as you get to your meeting at some point, you are present. It's not the it's not the time that's the most important. It's the people and the meeting.
Yes.
So I found out it was very different here.
Yeah. The U.S. definitely is different in that regard.
And obviously, when you it takes time for me to learn that. So because what you're familiar with, you assume that's what everybody does across the board
That's
until
true.
you realize it's different.
Yeah.
It's not good or bad. It's just different.
Well, thanks. Thanks for sharing some of your awkward moments. And thanks for just kind of letting us know a bit of what that feels like as you were learning English.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Thanks for asking, and I hope that was very useful.
Oh, absolutely.
I hope you caught some of the great tips that Luxon pointed out during that conversation. He talked about the reminder that it's normal to have awkward or embarrassing moments while you're learning a language. I think we all still have them in our native languages. He mentioned that learning by doing really helps the process. Books and videos are good, but actually taking the risk and speaking with other people is really the best way to learn a language. He mentioned how difficult it is to translate from a new language into your mother tongue, then form your answer and translate back into the new language only to find you missed your moment. I think the key there is to try instead to learn ideas rather than word-to-word translation, since that slows us down. In other words, look at an object or think of an idea or concept and learn what it's called, rather than thinking of the word in your mother tongue and then translating it. Also, there are often cultural differences we need to be prepared to adjust to, such as Luxon talked about when he simply was responding to, "How are you?" Did you catch how old Luxon was when he started learning English? He wasn't a toddler or a young child, he was 17. That's the age many people graduate high school in the US. It sort of reduces the myth that we can only learn another language when we're children, or that only children can learn other languages well. I hope this was helpful, perhaps even encouraging. We'll see you next time on Know You Can Learn. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button and subscribe for more videos like this one. We want to help you know you can learn.